And Proverbs chapter 11 verse 24 says something that violates basic mathematics. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. If you give money away, and you should have less. If you hold on to your money, you should have more. But King Solomon, the wealthiest man in human history, says the exact opposite happens. The man who releases his money grows richer, and the man who holds his money grows poorer. For 3,000 years, Jewish families have understood what this verse actually means. Most Christians have completely misread it. What did Solomon mean when he wrote "gives freely"? And was he commanding you to donate your savings to charity, or was he teaching an economic law that operates whether you believe it or not? You are about to discover the Proverbs 11:24-25 circulation law. And this is the biblical principle that separates families who build generational wealth from families who lose everything by the third generation. At the end of this video, a prayer for circulation awaits you. And there is a reason why some people grow wealthier the more they spend, and others grow poorer the more they save. It has nothing to do with luck. It has everything to do with whether you understand Proverbs 11:24-25. And let me show you what the Hebrew text actually says. Proverbs chapter 11, verses 24 and 25. One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. And whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. Here is what most English translations do not tell you. The word translated "gives freely" is the Hebrew word pazar. And pazar does not mean donate to charity, it means to scatter. Like a farmer scattering seed across a field, the word translated "withholds unduly" is the Hebrew word chasak. Chasak does not mean refuse to be generous, and it means to restrain from use, to hold back from deployment. Solomon was not writing to beggars, he was writing to the merchant class of Jerusalem in 950 BC. This was an international trade economy. Gold, silver, livestock, grain, and textiles moved across borders constantly. Solomon was teaching them an economic principle, not a charity lesson. Here is the principle. The merchant who scatters his wealth like seed into productive soil will multiply it. The merchant who locks his wealth in a vault and refuses to deploy it will lose it. One man scatters, and another man hoards. One grows richer, the other comes to poverty. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 25 confirms this. Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. And when you water a field, crops grow. When you withhold water, crops die. Money works the same way. Now here is what most American Christians have been taught to do with money, and it violates every word of Proverbs 11:24. And you have been told to save, 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 cut your budget, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund in a savings account, avoid investments until you are completely debt-free. And this is the Dave Ramsey model that dominates Christian financial teaching in America. Here is the problem. When you follow that advice, you are violating Proverbs 11:24. You are withholding unduly. And let me show you the math. You put $10,000 into a savings account. The account pays 0.01% interest. Inflation averages 5% per year. This is the United States inflation rate between 2020 and 2024. And after 10 years, your account still shows 10,000, but the purchasing power of that 10,000 is now 6,139. You lost 38.6% of your wealth by doing nothing. After 20 years, your 10,000 has the purchasing power of 3,769. And you lost 62.3% of your wealth. You thought you were protecting your money. You were destroying it. This is what Proverbs 11:24 calls withholding unduly. And the verse promises you will come to poverty. And not because God is punishing you, but because you violated an economic law. When you lock money in a non-productive account, inflation steals its value every single year. You are not saving, and you are losing. The ancient Hebrews understood something about money that modern Americans have forgotten, and it is written in 2 Hebrew words that change everything. And Solomon did not hoard his wealth, he circulated it. Let me show you how. 1 Kings chapter 5 verses 10 and 11. Solomon made a trade agreement with King Hiram of Tyre. Hiram supplied cedar and cypress timber, and Solomon supplied 20,000 cores of wheat and 20,000 baths of pure oil every year. Wealth circulated in both directions. Timber moved south, grain moved north. Both kingdoms multiplied their wealth. In 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 22, the king had a fleet of ships of Tarshish at sea with the fleet of Hiram. Once every 3 years, the fleet of ships of Tarshish used to come bringing gold, and silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks. Solomon did not store this wealth in a vault. He circulated it through the economy. When Solomon built the temple, he did not hoard the gold. He paid workers. Workers bought food from farmers. Farmers bought tools from blacksmiths. Blacksmiths bought materials from traders. That gold passed through 100 hands, and every hand that touched it grew wealthier. And this is the Proverbs 11:24-25 circulation law. Scatter your wealth into productive use, and you will gather multiplied returns. Withhold your wealth in stagnant storage, and you will suffer want. In Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 1 says it this way, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. You release it, it circulates, it returns to you multiplied." And let me show you exactly how this works, and why circulation is not the same thing as spending. And here is the difference between hoarding, circulation, and reckless spending. Hoarding is locking money in a non-productive account, checking account earning 0.01%, savings account earning 0.5%, and money market earning 1%. All of these lose to inflation. This is withholding unduly. Proverbs 11:24 says you will come to poverty. Reckless spending is deploying money into consumption. And buying a new car, upgrading your phone, eating at restaurants. Consumption does not multiply wealth, it destroys it. Circulation is deploying money into productive assets, assets that generate income or appreciate in value. And stocks that pay dividends, real estate that collects rent, businesses that produce profit. This is scattering seed into fertile soil. Proverbs 11:24 says you will grow richer. And here is the math. You have 10,000. Option 1, you hoard it in a savings account at 0.5% interest. Inflation is 5%. After 10 years, your purchasing power is 6,139. You lost 3,861. And option 2, you circulate it into an SP 500 index fund. The SP 500 has averaged 10% annual returns over the last 30 years. After 10 years, your 10,000 grows to 25,937. You gained 15,937. And the difference between hoarding and circulation is 22,076. That is 220% more wealth simply by obeying Proverbs 11:24. Where are you watching from right now? Drop your location in the comments. And I want to know where in the world Christians are learning to circulate wealth instead of hoarding it. Now here is where this becomes truly powerful, because 3,000 years after Solomon wrote this, a secular economist discovered the exact same principle and won fame for it. In 1936, an economist named John Maynard Keynes published a book called The General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. He introduced a concept called velocity of money. And velocity of money is the rate at which money circulates through an economy. Keynes proved mathematically that when money circulates faster, economies grow wealthier. When money circulation slows because people hoard, and economies collapse. He won international fame for this discovery. He had no idea he was validating Proverbs 11:24-25, written 2,886 years earlier. Solomon understood what Keynes would later call velocity of money. And one gives freely yet grows all the richer. The faster you circulate wealth into productive use, the more wealth you create. Warren Buffett has said repeatedly, cash sitting idle is a wasting asset. And Berkshire Hathaway, his company, deploys capital continuously into acquisitions and investments. Buffett does not hoard cash, he circulates it. That is why he is worth over $100 billion. And here is the proof from history. In 1929, Americans became terrified during the stock market crash. They hoarded cash, they hoarded gold, banks hoarded reserves. The velocity of money collapsed to near zero, and the economy died. This became the Great Depression. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt forced circulation through government spending programs. The New Deal put money into motion. And workers were paid, workers bought food, farmers bought equipment, the economy recovered. Hoarding killed the economy, circulation saved it. Proverbs 11:24 predicted this outcome 3,000 years in advance. And If this ancient wisdom is resonating with you, like this video right now, it tells the algorithm to spread this principle to more Christians who need to hear it. But here is the part that most people miss when they read Proverbs 11:24. And Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25 says, "Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered." This is not about being nice. This is about circulation, creating reciprocal wealth. And when you invest in a business, you create jobs. When you buy real estate, you provide housing. When you buy stocks, you fund innovation. Your circulated capital blesses others. And Proverbs 11:25 says you will be enriched because of it. When Solomon paid temple workers, they did not hoard their wages. They bought food from farmers. Farmers bought tools from blacksmiths. And blacksmiths bought materials from traders. Every hand that touched that circulating gold grew wealthier. That is, one who waters will himself be watered. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 26 says, "The people curse him who holds back grain, but a blessing is on the head of him who sells it. Hoarding is condemned, circulation is blessed. When you hoard money, you prevent others from benefiting from your capital. And you stop circulation, you break the reciprocity cycle. But here is the critical distinction. Circulation is not reckless spending. Circulation means deploying capital into income-producing assets. And it does not mean buying a new car. It does not mean eating at expensive restaurants. It does not mean upgrading your phone every year. Those are consumption. Consumption destroys wealth, and circulation multiplies wealth. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 11 says, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase." Circulation must be strategic and not impulsive. You deploy gradually. You choose productive assets. You allow time for multiplication. Here is what you need to understand before we go further. This is not about being generous. This is about something far more fundamental. And most Christians read Proverbs 11:24 and think Solomon is telling them to be more generous to charity. Gives freely sounds like a command to donate money to the poor or to the church. But when you read the Hebrew, the word translated gives freely is pazar. Pazar does not mean donates to charity. It means to scatter seed. A farmer scatters seed into soil. He is not being generous to the dirt. He is deploying seed into a productive environment where it will multiply. This was not a charity verse. This was an investment verse. Solomon was not saying, "Be generous and hope God blesses you." He was saying, "Deploy your capital into productive circulation and you will multiply it. Hold your capital in a vault and you will lose it." That changes everything. Because now Proverbs 11:24 is not asking you to give away your wealth out of kindness. It is commanding you to circulate your wealth for multiplication. This is not about morality. This is about economics. This is not about your heart. This is about what money does when it moves versus when it sits still. Money is like water. When water flows through a field, crops grow. When water sits in a stagnant pond, it becomes poison. Money works the same way. When it circulates through investments, businesses, and productive assets, it multiplies. When it sits in a vault, it dies. So what does this mean for you? It means that right now, at this very moment, your money is either circulating or dying. There is no third option. Let me show you which one is happening to your wealth. If Proverbs 11:24 is an economic command, not a charity suggestion, then every dollar sitting in your checking account is in biblical violation. You are withholding unduly. Here is the immediate implication. Your stagnant cash is losing 3 to 8% of its value every single year to inflation. You are not protecting it, you are destroying it. And Proverbs 11:24 says you will come to poverty if you continue. Here is the relational implication. Proverbs 11:25 says, "One who waters will himself be watered." If you are not deploying capital, you are not watering anyone, and you will not be watered. When you hoard, you prevent the circulation that would bless others and return to you multiplied. Here is the financial implication. Your net worth 10 years from now is being determined by what you do with stagnant cash today. Circulate it, and Proverbs 11:24 promises you grow richer. Withhold it, and Proverbs 11:24 promises you come to poverty. Here is the spiritual implication. Scarcity mindset is not humility. And it is disobedience. God commanded circulation in Proverbs 11:24. When you hoard out of fear, you are saying that God's economic law is unreliable. You are choosing fear over faith, and you are choosing control over obedience. The question is not whether Proverbs 11:24 is true. The question is whether you will obey it. And for 2,000 years, Jewish communities practiced something called gemach. Gemach is a Hebrew word that means free loan society. Capital circulated among members interest-free. If a merchant needed inventory, and the gemach loaned capital, the merchant circulated it into business. He made profit. He repaid the loan. The capital kept moving. No hoarding. This is Proverbs 11:24 in action. During the Babylonian exile in 586 BC, Jews were scattered into hostile nations. Most conquered peoples disappeared within 2 generations. The Jews survived economically because they circulated capital into trade networks. And nations that hoarded gold in vaults collapsed when invasions came. Jews who circulated wealth into portable businesses survived when one Jewish merchant circulated capital into a business and succeeded. Then he reinvested into another merchant's business. Wealth multiplied across the community. Proverbs 11:25, whoever brings blessing will be enriched. Circulation created collective wealth. And here is the result today. Jewish families represent 2% of the United States population, but they represent 5% of the Forbes 400 billionaire list. This is not genetic, this is not luck. This is Proverbs 11:24-25 practiced for 3,000 years. Circulation works. It has worked for 3 millennia. It will work for you. Here is exactly how you apply this starting this week. Step 1, audit your stagnant capital this week. Open your bank app. Look at every account earning less than 1% interest. Checking, savings, money market. Add up the total. That number is how much wealth you are currently withholding unduly. It is losing 3 to 8% per year to inflation. Proverbs 11:24 says you will come to poverty if you continue holding it there. Step 2, select your circulation vehicles this week. Choose productive assets where money circulates and multiplies. Index funds like the SP 500 average 10% annually over 30 years. Your money circulates through 500 companies. Real estate generates monthly cash flow. Rental property means money circulates through tenants who pay rent. Business equity means you invest in your own business or someone else's business. Money circulates into production. And do not choose consumption. A car is not circulation. A vacation is not circulation. Clothes are not circulation. Circulation equals income-producing assets only. Step 3, deploy systematically this month. And move 10 to 20% of your stagnant cash into your chosen vehicle this month, not all at once. Proverbs 13:11 warns, wealth gained hastily will dwindle. Deploy gradually. This is scattering seed, and not gambling. Step 4, track returns and recirculate quarterly. When your circulated capital produces returns, do not pull it back into checking, dividends, rent, business profit. And redeploy those returns into another productive asset. This is Proverbs 11:25. One who waters will himself be watered. Continuous circulation creates compounding multiplication. And let me ask you a direct question. How much of your wealth is sitting in a checking account right now, earning nothing, losing to inflation every single day? Be honest with yourself. And when you obey Proverbs 11:24 and circulate wealth today, you are not just building your own net worth, you are teaching your children and grandchildren the circulation law. They will inherit income-producing assets, and not devalued cash. Here is the statistic. 70% of wealthy families lose all wealth by the 2nd generation. 90% lose it by the 3rd generation. Why? Because the 2nd generation inherits money but not the circulation principle. And they consume instead of deploy. By generation 3, nothing is left. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, not just to his children, and to his grandchildren. That only happens through circulation, not hoarding. What will your grandchildren inherit from you? Will they inherit a checking account balance that inflation destroyed over 40 years? Or will they inherit businesses, real estate, and portfolios that circulate wealth into the 4th generation? This is not just about you. This is about everyone who will carry your name after you are gone. You have learned today that Proverbs 11:24-25 is not a charity verse. It is the biblical law of circulation. One man scatters his wealth into productive use and grows richer. And another man withholds his wealth in fear and comes to poverty. Solomon taught you an economic law that has been validated by 3,000 years of Jewish wealth and confirmed by modern economics in 1936. Before we pray, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel right now. You are learning Solomon's wealth systems, frameworks that took him 40 years to build and 3,000 years to validate. And system number 3 is coming next, and you do not want to miss it. Click subscribe, then return here. Close your eyes if you can, or align your thoughts with mine. What we are about to speak is not formula, and it is alignment with a biblical law. Father, we come before you as stewards of the wealth you have entrusted to us. We confess that we have hoarded what you commanded us to circulate. And we have withheld out of fear what Proverbs 11:24 told us to scatter. Forgive us. Break the scarcity mindset in our hearts. Give us the courage to deploy our capital into the productive places you have prepared. And trusting that as we obey your circulation law, you will multiply what we release. Where we have stagnant wealth, give us wisdom to circulate it strategically where we have feared loss. And replace our fear with faith in your economic laws. We trust that as we scatter, we will gather. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. You are not spending recklessly when you invest. And you are obeying Proverbs 11:24. You are not a fool. You are a circulation practitioner. Go and deploy with precision.